This is Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. Now from the Collins Aerospace Studio at the Nordloff Center in downtown Rockford, here's your host, Eric Wilson.
Welcome to another edition of Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. We are so glad you decided to spend part of your weekend with us. And welcome to March. The days are getting longer and our Elite Eight is getting more full. We are halfway there. One of these two teams will make it after this game. Last week you saw a pretty impressive showing from Boylan. They came very close to putting up 400 points. You know, if you watch the game a lot, that doesn't happen often. They were close. One of these two teams has the potential to do that. Will it be the North Boone Vikings? How about a nice round of applause for them? North Boone won a pretty tight game against Stillman. They made it to the second round for the second straight year. That's pretty exciting. Eli, he is the captain. Introduce us to your starting lineup, Eli.
On my left is Nick, on my right is Noel, and on my far right is Emily.
Welcome to the Vikings, taking on the Dixon Dukes. Now, because we keep track of these things, Dixon actually made some history in round one. 260 points, best showing in 10 years competing. That's pretty impressive, you guys. And a little bit more history. It will be your first time in the Elite Eight if you win today. So a lot on the line for both of these teams. As always, as we play one of these games, it should be pretty exciting. Grab your buzzers and let's get started, shall we, in our Rockford University buzzing round. The two most important rules, you've all played the game before, but remember those two important ones. Wait for me to call your name before you answer, and then say that answer loudly and clearly. Here we go. Good luck to both of our teams. What author who wrote about the imprisonment of author Paul Sheldon by his fan Annie Wilkes in Misery depicted a telekinetic teenage girl in Carrie? Aiden.
Stephen King.
That's correct. Also famously made us terrified of dogs, cars, and clowns. What time signature, which was used by Maurice Ravel for Bolero, has an odd number of beats per measure and is used in the Blue Danube Waltz? Nathan.
3/4.
That is right. Typical waltz time signature. 2 in a row for Dixon. What Italian artist made a wooden sculpture of a penitent Mary Magdalene and depicted a youthful nude in his bronze sculpture, David? Noel. Incorrect. Dixon. Go ahead, Nathan.
Donatello.
You got it. You got the correct Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle there. Nice work. What band worked with producers Daniel Lanois and Brian Eno on the album The Joshua Tree, whose track With or Without You featured vocals by Bono? Nathan.
U2.
You got it. Nice. That's 4 in a row for Dixon. What chemical element is bonded to itself in hydrazine, forms a triple bond with carbon and cyanide, and is bonded to hydrogen in ammonia? Aaron.
Nitrogen.
You got it. Right before the buzzer. It's the N in all of those compounds. C.H. Waddington coined what term for the study of changes in gene expression that do not involve alterations to the nucleotide sequence of DNA? That's a tough science question. Epigenetics. In 2022, what team, led by infielder Alec Baum, pitcher Aaron Nola, and Nick?
Philadelphia Phillies.
You got it. Those are your points. First points of the game for North Boone. Nice work. Talking baseball, of course, there. You knew that. What law named for a Minnesota congressman was passed in 1919 over Woodrow Wilson's veto to enforce prohibition in the U.S.? Nathan.
18th Amendment.
Incorrect. North Boone. Close the gap here with this.
19th
Go ahead, Eli.
Amendment. 19th Amendment.
Incorrect. The Volstead Act. What country, whose General Omar Torrijos signed a treaty with Jimmy Carter in 1977, was led by Manuel Noriega and is the site of a 50-mile canal? Nick.
Panama.
That's right. That was a pretty good clue, wasn't it? North Boone, you're up to 20 now. What Jesuit priest described his poetic style as having sprung rhythm and wrote about a dapple dawn-drawn falcon in his poem, The Windhover? Considered one of the Victorian era's most influential poets, Gerard Manley Hopkins. What European country contains the western part of Lake Skadar, has its capital in Podgorica, and has a name that translates as Black Mountain? Aiden.
Montenegro.
Montenegro is yours. Nice. Ben Platt won a Best Actor Tony for playing the title character of what Broadway musical that features the song Anybody Have a Map? Ended its run in September 2022 and ended the national tour last July. That was Dear Evan Hansen. What phenomenon names a connection sung about by Kermit in the Muppet movie and is a sign of the covenant made by God with Noah placed in the sky? Noel.
10 Commandments.
Incorrect. Dixon, you take these points. Would Roy G. Biv been a good clue for you? We're talking about a rainbow. And that's the end of the round. We're out of time for that. Pretty good start to our game here. 60 points for Dixon, 20 for North Boone. Lots more game to play. Our next round is called Volleyball. We'll have it for you after this break. One round in, 3 to go this weekend of Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. Here's our score situation. Dixon has 60, North Boone has 20. Before we get to some more questions, though, 2 things I want to take care of. First of all, thank you to our judge. Paul Von Driska is the Vice President of Government Affairs and Legal at Bergstrom, but he is also a longtime supporter personally of our show, and we really appreciate it, and we appreciate you spending some time with us, Paul. Also, I realize that, Aiden, I did not let you introduce your starting lineup. So we've got 2 new players, 2 new faces. So that means what? Aaron and Christopher, they subbed out. They were here as part of your starting lineup. Who is with you to start our volleyball round?
To my right is Nathan, to my left is Owen, and to my far left is Rain.
All right, I apologize. Sometimes I get moving too fast and I forget what I'm supposed to do. All right, so now we get into our volleyball round, and the first volleyball question is headed over to you, Eli and the Vikings. Are you ready? Here we go. And remember, this is a conferring round, work as a team, but the answer has to come from the captains. Here's your first one, Eli. What event in which Betty Paris accused the enslaved woman Tituba of consulting spirits led to executions in colonial Massachusetts in the 1690s?
Salem witch trials?
Yes, it's what the Arthur Miller play The Crucible is based on. First question now for you, Aiden. From 1941 to 1944, Nazi forces unsuccessfully besieged a Soviet city, then known by what name in what became the deadliest battle in history?
Stalingrad?
Incorrect. Leningrad. Stalingrad was shorter window, 42 to 43. It was the siege of Leningrad or the Battle of Leningrad. Back to North Boone. What painter of Reading Le Figaro was an impressionist who created the boating party and the child's bath in France after she was born in the U.S.? You can see many of her works at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. Mary Cassatt. Back to Dixon. Euripides, Seneca, and Jean Racine all wrote plays about what wife of Theseus who fell in love with her stepson, Hippolytus?
Penelope?
Incorrect. Phaedra. Back to North Boone. The Bohr model proposes that what particles discovered in a cathode ray tube experiment by J.J. Thomson move in circular orbits around the nucleus?
Electrons?
That's right. You got that. Back over to Dixon. What phenomena which are emitted during mergers of 2 neutron stars or black holes are ripples in space-time that were detected by LIGO in 2015?
Quasar?
Incorrect. Gravitational waves. Back to North Boone. What drug, also known as semaglutide, was released in 2012 by Novo Nordisk and is a diabetes medicine more recently used to treat obesity?
Ozempic?
Yes. More points for you. You are closing the gap. Back to Dixon. What American woman whose books of poetry include The Triumph of Achilles won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2020?
Angela?
Tough lit question. That wasn't it. She just passed away last October at the age of 80. Louise Glick. Back to North Boone. You could tie it up with this. What generally accepted longest ruling dynasty in Chinese history, whose rule ended with the Warring States period in the 3rd century BC, was succeeded by the Qin? That was the Zhou dynasty. Back to Dixon. What lake in Africa's Sahel region receives the Shari River and borders 4 countries, including Nigeria, Niger, and Cameroon?
Lake Chad.
That's right. I'm going to give Nathan the credit for that. Chad is the 4th country they're mentioned in the question, and that's all we have time for the round. So a little score changing here. Dixon's up a little to 70, but North Boone closed that gap pretty solidly. They're up to 50 points. Halfway through our game means you get to play at home with the Bergstrom bonus question. We'll be right back with the answer.
Following in the footsteps of Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp, Timothy Chalamet recently donned the top hat of which fictional chocolatier?
Time for a pizza break here on Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. Maybe more accurately, a pizza question. In fact, that's what many people refer to this as. Officially, it's the Bergstrom bonus question, and it's a buzz-in, contestants. So if you know the answer to this, you will win pizza and pasta from Lino's for you and your whole team. Here we go. Hands on your buzzers. Following in the footsteps of Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp, Timothy Chalamet recently donned the top hat. Nick?
Wonka. Or Willy Wonka.
I'll take that. That's right. The top hat of what fictional chocolatier? And if you're a big Chalamet fan, you can actually see him on big screens right now in Dune Part 2. We will take a break and have Part 3 of our show, which is our lightning round, after this break. We are back for our Nika IBEW lightning round, where these scores are going to change very quickly because there's a lot of points on the line. Here's where they sit right now. Dixon's in the lead by 20 points. They've got 70. North Boone has 50. Dixon also has first pick in this round of the 3 categories. So, Aiden, your choices this week are missing words in poems, world mountains, or Illinois companies.
Mountains.
All right, you got it. Name the country that contains these mountains. I'll name the mountain. We can go through this pretty quickly, actually. I'll name the mountain. You give me the country. 60 seconds is on the clock. Both teams, remember that pass option. Don't let the clock eat up too much time on you. And I will move on to the next one. We can always go back if there's time left on the clock. Eli, you and the team left 30 seconds for whatever they don't get to, unless they run the category. That's 100 points, and it's been done before. Aiden, are you up to the challenge?
Yes.
Here we go. And remember, work as a team. Answers need to come, though, from Aiden and Eli. Here is your first one, Aiden. Name the country that contains these mountains. Mount Fuji.
Japan.
Correct. Mount Olympus.
Greece.
Correct. Mount Kailash, which lies within Tibet.
China.
Correct. Mount Elbrus.
Pass.
Mount Etna.
Italy.
Italy.
Correct. Mount Cook, which is called Araraki in the Maori language.
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Correct. Mount Ararat.
Pass.
Mount Kilimanjaro.
Kenya.
Kenya.
Incorrect. Chimborazo.
Pass.
Mount Kushuko.
Pass.
Mount Elbrus.
Pass.
Germany.
Mount Ararat.
Pass.
Chimborazo.
Chile.
Chile.
Incorrect. And that's all. I didn't get a chance to repeat that last one there. It's pretty solid. You got half of them, 50 points, so you're up to 120. So you have half of them to get, Eli, but half the time, 30 seconds. But if you were paying attention, you may be able to answer these quickly. And I'll be as quick as I can with these as well to give you as much time as possible. You ready? Here is your first one, Eli. Name the country that contains these mountains. Mount Elbrus.
Pass.
Mount Ararat.
Pass.
Mount Kilimanjaro.
Tanzania.
That's correct. Chimborazo.
Pass.
Mount Kushuko.
India.
Incorrect. Mount Elbrus.
Bulgaria.
Incorrect. Mount Ararat. And buzzer got you there. You picked one of them up, so it's better than 0. That means there's 4 left. I'll run down those really fast before, Eli, you get to pick from the other 2 categories. Mount Elbrus, it's actually the tallest in this country at 18,500 feet. That's in Russia. Mount Ararat is actually where some scientists believe where Noah's Ark ended up. That's in Turkey. Chimborazo is in Ecuador. And Mount Kosciuszko is the tallest on mainland Australia at 7,300 feet. So there are 2 categories left, Eli. That's Illinois companies. And if I can turn my page there we go. Missing words in poems.
Missing words and poems.
Okay. Given a poet and a partial line of poetry, provide the word that fills in the blank. So all of my questioning will have the word blank in it somewhere. You're coming up with the word that should fit that space. 60 seconds is on the clock. Same rules apply. Also, same advice about the pass. And then, Aiden, you'll have 30 seconds unless they run the category to clean up any extra points. You're down by 60. You run it. You'll have the lead here for, I believe, the first time in the game. Are you ready, Eli? Here we go. Given a poet and a partial line of poetry, provide the word that fills in the blank. William Shakespeare, shall I compare thee to a summer's blank?
Day.
Correct. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, 1 if by land and 2 if by blank.
Sea.
Correct. Edgar Allan Poe, quoth the raven blank.
Pass.
William Blake, tiger, tiger, burning blank.
Bright.
Correct. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, how do I love thee, let me count the blank.
Ways.
Correct. Dylan Thomas, do not go gentle into that good blank.
Night.
Correct. Robert Burns, should old acquaintance be blank?
Forgotten.
Incorrect. Emily Dickinson, I heard a fly buzz when I blank.
Died.
Correct. E.E. Cummings, I sing of Olaf glad and blank.
Pass.
T.S. Eliot, I will show you fear in a handful of blank. And no time to answer there. The buzzer got you. 6 of them right. You've tied the game up. But there is 4 left for you, Aiden. And again, that will put you in the lead. And put you in the lead as we head into our final challenge. 30 seconds is on the clock. You ready? Given a poet and a partial line of poetry, provide the word that fills in the blank. Edgar Allan Poe, quoth the raven, blank.
Nevermore.
Correct. Robert Burns, should old acquaintance be blank?
Forgot.
Correct. E.E. Cummings, I sing of Olaf glad and blank.
Mary.
Incorrect. T.S. Eliot, I will show you fear in a handful of blank.
Vengeance.
Incorrect. A little bit of time on the clock, but there's nothing left to go back to. Pretty solid round from both of our teams. And that was kind of a tough category, especially there later on. The last 2 that no one got, the E.E. Cummings, I sing of Olaf glad and big. It's from I sing of Olaf glad and big. That was actually the name of the poem. And then the T.S. Eliot, I will show you fear in a handful of dust. That's from the poem The Wasteland. So after 3 rounds, Dixon's on top by 20 points. But in our next round, each question is worth 20 points. So this is as tight as this game gets without it being a tie going into this final round. We'll see what happens. Dixon's at 140, North Boone's at 120, and our final challenge is after this break. Boy, this is a super tight game. This is kind of how you expect it to be as we go further on into our tournament, right? In our Sweet 16, winner of this will take the 5th spot in our Elite 8. Dixon's on top right now, 140 to 120 over North Boone, but that is only 1 question between our 2 teams. So this makes it very important to remember these 2 rules in this round. Wait for me to call your name before you answer. Say the answer loudly and clearly. Everybody take a deep breath. Good luck. Here we go, and here's the first question in the Mercy Health Final Challenge. What island is home to a baseball team called the Nippon Ham Fighters and the city of Eli?
Japan.
Incorrect. I will finish for Dixon. And Nathan?
Honshu.
Incorrect. The island we needed, Honshu was one of the 4. We needed Hokkaido. No points for either team. What state, which has a region called the Western Reserve that was once claimed by Connecticut, is to the south of Lake Erie and contains Cleveland? Aiden.
Ohio.
You got it. Had to jump on that Cleveland clue. Dixon's first points of this round. In a 2019 film, Renee Zellweger portrayed what earlier actress who played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz? That film was called Judy. She played Judy Garland. What natural phenomenon, whose most recent iteration began in June 2023, according to NOAA, is caused by Pacific warming and differs from La Nina? Nathan.
El Nino.
You got that. Tsar Alexander III gave his wife the first of what series of jeweled eggs made by a Russian designer? Aiden.
Russian doll eggs.
Incorrect. North Boone, you can take these points. Close the gap. Eli.
Fabergé egg.
Fabergé eggs is correct. What novel, which includes a former English professor named Faber, centers on a fireman named Guy Montag? Nathan?
Fahrenheit 451.
You got it. Who burns books and is by Ray Bradbury. You're up to 200. What quantity, the second moment of a probability distribution, is denoted by sigma squared and equals the square of the standard deviation? Aiden.
Spread.
Incorrect. North Boone? You want to take a shot? Go ahead, Eli.
Distribution.
Incorrect. AP Stats would have really helped with this question. We needed variance. What picture book by Maurice Sendak describes a forest that grows inside the bedroom of Max, a boy who makes mischief? Nick.
Where the Wild Things Are?
You got it. Raise your hands if you had that book. What devices have bases sized by E numbers, employ tungsten filaments, have types such as CFL and incandescent, and were pioneered? Nathan?
Light bulbs.
That's right, pioneered by Thomas Edison. What jazz band leader who led a January 1938 concert at Carnegie Hall was a clarinetist who was nicknamed the King of Swing? Eli.
Benny King.
Incorrect. Dixon. Aaron.
Armstrong.
Incorrect. You had half of it, Eli. It's Benny Goodman. What place, which suffered through the starving time, was founded in 1607 in Virginia as the first permanent English settlement in the Americas? Nathan.
Jamestown.
Jamestown is correct. Which country was led by Suharto's dictatorial New Order government? Nathan?
Indonesia.
That's right, after he overthrew its founding father, Sukarno, and that long buzzer means the game is over. Congratulations, Dixon. You are moving on. 260 points. First time in the Elite Eight. That is pretty exciting. Nice work. Eli and the Vikings, you played a really great game. You know, sometimes watching this game when you're not playing, how close it cannot be sometimes, but you kept it close. You played really well. It's a pleasure always to have you here. How many of you are seniors? All right, so that means you guys come back and visit us anytime. Good luck with your future plans. Luz, Oscar, and the rest of the team, we'll see you next season, I hope, right? Okay. And then we'll see you next week where Dixon will find out who they're playing because Christian Life will take on Marengo. Hope you can join us then.